Telling your child they're smart might be the single worst thing you can say to them. And the strange part, it comes from a place of love. This one phrase, repeated enough times, can quietly follow a person for the rest of their life. Psychologists have a name for this. They call it the praise paradox. Every parent wants a confident kid, so we praise them constantly. You're a natural, you're gifted, you're the smartest kid in class. But what if that praise isn't building confidence at all? What if it's quietly teaching kids to run from anything that might make them fail? In the late 1990s, a psychologist named Carol Dweck decided to test this. What she found changed how we think about confidence forever. Dweck ran an experiment with hundreds of 10-year-olds. Every kid solved the exact same simple puzzle. Every kid succeeded. But afterward, she praised them differently. Half were told, "You must be smart at this." The other half were told, "You must have worked really hard." Same puzzle, same success, just two different sentences. That tiny difference was about to change everything. Here's where it gets interesting. Next, every child was offered a choice. They could attempt an easy puzzle, one they were guaranteed to get right, or a harder one where they might struggle. 90% of the kids praised for effort chose the harder puzzle, but most of the kids praised for being smart chose the easy one. Why? Because failing the hard puzzle didn't just mean losing. It meant losing the one thing they'd been told defined them. Psychologists call this the difference between person praise and process praise. One praise is who you are, the other praise is what you did. This single difference splits people into two completely different ways of seeing the world. The first is the fixed mindset, the belief that intelligence and talent are just fixed. You either have it or you don't. The second is the growth mindset, the belief that ability is like a muscle. It grows the more you use it. And here's the twist. The type of praise a child hears over and over quietly builds one mindset or the other. Person praise builds the lock. Process praise builds the gears. As Dweck herself put it, the fixed mindset makes you concerned with how you'll be judged. The growth mindset makes you concerned with improving. So Dweck pushed the experiment further, and this is where the real damage showed up. This time, every child was given a puzzle that was secretly impossible to solve. Everyone failed, no exceptions. The effort-praised kids barely blinked. They leaned in, tried new strategies, and some even said they were enjoying it. The smart-praised kids fell apart. Frustration, quitting early. Some looked physically smaller, chalk lines drooping at the shoulders. Same failure, two totally different verdicts. One group blamed their effort, the other blamed their identity. But the next finding is the one that should really worry us. Afterward, kids were asked to report their scores out loud to a stranger, their real scores, from that failed test. Kids praised for intelligence were nearly 50% more likely to lie, to inflate their score, to protect the smart label at any cost. Think about that. The need to look smart outweighed the truth. That's not a character flaw. That's a mindset doing exactly what it was trained to do. And the damage wasn't just emotional, it showed up in raw numbers too. On a final test, same difficulty as the first, the intelligence praised group scores dropped by an average of 20%. The effort praised group scores rose by nearly 30%. Same kids, same starting point. Two sentences of praise weeks earlier sent them in opposite directions. One sentence, a measurable, lasting shift in performance. That's the power hiding inside the words we choose. Now, here's the part most people miss. This doesn't stop at the classroom door. Grown adults with a fixed mindset avoid big promotions. They dodge hard projects. They feel threatened by talented coworkers. Adults with a growth mindset lean toward challenge. Feedback doesn't feel like an attack. It feels like information. It even shows up in relationships. Fixed mindset people see conflict as proof they're incompatible. Growth mindset people see it as something to work through together. But here's the twist that surprised even Dweck's own team. It's not that praise itself is the problem, it's that praising a trait turns that trait into a cage. The moment a child believes I am smart, every future failure becomes proof they were wrong. But praise the process, and failure becomes something else entirely, just a rung on a ladder. Evidence that you're still climbing, not proof that you never belonged there. Same child, same brain, two completely different futures, built from the words that landed on them years earlier. Picture two kids, Alex and Ben, both get an A on the same math test. Alex's parent says, "You're so smart." Ben's parent says, "Wow, all that studying really paid off." Years pass. A science fair comes around. Alex, afraid of breaking his smart reputation, picks the safest project. Ben, seeing a challenge, picks the hardest one on the table. Alex gets a good grade and feels nothing. Ben's project barely works, and he's never been prouder. Same intelligence, completely different relationship with trying. So if "you're so smart" is out, what replaces it? Swap the trait for the process. Not "you're a natural," but "I love the strategy you tried." Not "you're gifted," but "your effort really paid off." Even "good job" works better with one small addition. Tell them exactly what they did that earned it. So let's bring it all together. Praise the person, and you build a fixed mindset, one that fears failure because failure threatens identity. Praise the process, and you build a growth mindset, one that sees failure as fuel. It's not about praising less, it's about praising differently. What they did, not simply who they are. That stone we saw at the beginning, the one built from a single word of praise, it doesn't have to stay a weight forever. It can become the thing that helps something grow. So here's a question worth sitting with. What were you praised for growing up? And what did it quietly teach you to avoid?